The moment is here, you can stop your search. It's Comics by Perch.
Hey everybody, this is Perch. This is part 2. So I sold out. I did the Marvel thing where I took one topic and I deconstructed into 2 videos to get double the revenue for diminishing returns. That's what we do here on the Perch Show. We copy what other people do. Anyway, in the other video, I was talking about basically this behavior of it's one that I've covered like what feels like a bazillion times, and several of you disagree every time I do it. And what I want you to know is, it's cool that you disagree. I'm happy for you to have your disagreement. When I say, I'm okay with you disagreeing, it doesn't matter to me if you agree or not, that's not dismissing you. That's not saying that your opinion doesn't matter. I don't know what. It's starting to sound very snowflakey in how I'm describing this, but I don't mean it that way. I mean, purely, it's more logical than that. It's, you have your own opinion. That's cool. Great. Your opinion is yours. You don't have to convince me. I don't have to convince you. It's totally okay. If you believe the creators hate the fans and that's in their work, that's fine. I don't stay up at night going, shit, I've got to convince this person to my point of view. I don't, and because that would be insane. People who think that way are crazy. And there are people who do think that way. They can't live unless everybody else thinks the way they do. I'm not one of those, and my guess is, if you're listening to this show, you're not one of those people either. So it's okay. There's lots of people I disagree with, and we still have beer, and we go out, and all the rest. But what got me on this, the part 1 of this video, if you listen to that part, was I got this mail from a viewer of the show. And as I mentioned, I think in the other video, the mail was kind of, it was not constructed well. It was a little bit hard to tell what the person was saying. Some sentences just kind of ended. And, but basically the premise that person was coming with, was that, hey, why do so many people believe that the creators hate them? Why do so many people believe it? And the theory that the letter writer was putting out, again, not me, but the letter writer was putting out was, well, the fans need to believe that the creators hate them, so it gives the fans the permission to hate the creator. Which I had to read a couple times in the initial mail because it sounded kind of convoluted, but I'm sure there's a simpler way to define it. But basically, the idea was, hey, the fans are making all this up in their own head because they need an enemy. They need for, the creators to be bad guys in order to be justified in their hatred of them. And my response in the original video, again, if you're coming in at part 2, part 1 described a little bit of this, but my response in part 1 was that I didn't, I read the mail, I did an initial reaction to it. I was annoyed by it. I was annoyed in part because we've had this topic come up over and over and over again. And even though this is a slightly new spin on it, it still feels kind of tired at this point. I'm not sure what more needs to be said or what more can be said, quite frankly. But you know what I keep coming back to a little bit. Well, first of all, I'll say what I said. No, I don't believe that a bunch of fans are out there purposely creating a creator boogeyman because they need somebody to hate. I think that there's like in everything, I think I said this in the video, nothing is absolute. There's tons of crazy people doing all kinds of crazy things everywhere. So are there some people who have purposely just need somebody to hate, so they created this villain in order to go at them? I'm sure. Like, look, if you look long enough, you'll find something anywhere, for sure. But I don't think that's the majority of what's going on. And I think, quite frankly, the people who are closest to that camp are people who have no interest in comics at all. These are, in effect, the fake fanboys of, the comic world who aren't reading comics, don't have any interest in comics. They do like kind of the culture wars. They like tuning into live streams and hear people punking on other people. But they really never had any interest in comics to begin with. Because here's my theory to that is, if you, and I'm talking to you, the person listening right now, if you like comics, if once upon a time you opened up a comic, you read it, and you enjoyed it. I'm not talking like one comic, but I'm talking lots of comics. Over time, you enjoy what comics brings to you. if that's you, then this entire argument gets a little funny because, you know, you love comics or you loved comics or whatever it happens to be. If you're irritated by something, if you're frustrated by something, it's that you want things to return to that time when you loved them, which is a very normal human reaction. Sometimes people kind of dismiss that of like, oh, everybody just wants things to go back to the way it was. Well, yeah, that's everyone, by the way. 100% of everyone feels that way at some point in their life. Whether it's you want to go back to when you were younger, you want to go back to, when you didn't have any adult responsibilities, you want to, like everybody, like there's a reason why nostalgia sells so well, because it's a natural human instinct to take an idealized moment in your life and want to go back to that point. It's the most normal thing in the world. So it's very normal, and I do wish more creators understood this. It is normal for fans, for customers, to pick the moment in time that they love. Like if you like the John Byrne, Chris Claremont era of X-Men, and a lot of people do, it sold really well, and go, man, I wish the X-Men was like this. I wish it was like the best moment of my memory. That's not shameful. That's not bad. That's nothing. That's not white supremacy. That's not whatever various names go tossing around. It's simply, I enjoyed something. I wish I had more of that thing than I enjoyed. That's there's nothing bad about that. So let's stop demonizing. Let's stop, treating that behavior like it's some abnormal, sick, weirdo thing when it's the most normal thing in the world. I think that, but this idea that there's a bunch of customers and fans who just are so desperate to be angry that they intentionally create this mythology in their minds that creators are secretly hate them. No, I don't believe that. What I do believe is happening is a lot of fans, a lot of customers are seeing a snapshot into, what goes on. I think that they do see put it this way. One, this is why this is why I'm frustrated with Mark Brooks in particular. Because Mark Brooks, like I said in the other video, he stated publicly. I mean, he said, I like trolling fans. Stated it. I mean, he hasn't denied it. He says, I enjoy kind of winding people up. It's fun. And the problem is, one creator, one Mark Brooks, really winding people up and getting people all crazy in the minds of the customers is equal to 10 to 20 creators. Because if you get one guy really, winding people up, really kind of going at people, it starts to speak for comics as a whole. Now, is that fair? No, not really, but it is reality. One loud voice tends to drown out a lot of quieter voices. And on top of that, when you get the guilt by association thing, you see like, oh, wait, Mark Brooks is connected to 100 other creators on social media. So even though, more than half of those creators never post a thing ever, it's like they're following him. And if they're following him, then why are they condoning this behavior? If they're condoning this behavior, they must hate me too. And that's, I think, the trap that a lot of fans and customers fall into. They take one loud, obnoxious a-hole, and it becomes a template for a lot of other people. But that is completely and absolutely different than saying the fans are intentionally, creating these people, believing that people hate them just so they can hate them back. I'm sorry, that's just too much craziness in one place. At the end of the day, and kind of my initial reaction to this mail, because I got pretty heated over it, was, look, comics are a lot more simple than people give them credit for. They really are. The core to this business is basically make comic, get people to write comic, get people feeling okay about spending money for that comic. Person reads comic, they will go buy another comic. The underlying truth to all this is we could talk about creator behavior and do the creators secretly hate the fans, all that. You can go down that path as long as you want. Here's the thing. If the comic was blowing you away, if the quality was great, if you enjoyed it, if the story was amazing, you would forgive a lot of obnoxious behavior. And I say that because there's proof. there's plenty of creators out there who are 100% assholes to people on a regular basis, and people overlook it because they like the product that's coming out from that creator. And again, by the way, no judgment. That's a completely natural thing, because in reality, quality wins out over all this other stuff. So this isn't excusing it. Don't twist my words. It's not saying, creators can say whatever they want. I mean, not if they're smart, they won't. But the reality is, at the end of the day, no matter what else is going on, content, good stories, quality wins. A ton of different sins and other things can be overlooked if simply, the product that we're being asked to buy is a good one. And, if it's not, then there will be problems. But I listed this in part 1, part 2, and I would really love to just close the book on this, because the reality is several of you are never, ever going to agree with me on this topic. And again, that's okay. You don't have to. We don't have to agree. There's no compelling need for us to agree. I think that, in my mind, I think it's a lot simpler than people give it credit for. I do think there are people who, wind up, viewers, wind up people on YouTube for clicks and money. I think you're very naive if you don't think that's going on. There's definitely that behavior. It's why, right now there's thumbnails for people going, Bud Light boycott devastates company. No, it did not. It did not devastate the company. It's an exaggeration, and everyone can admit that. That there's hyperbole that goes out, and there's a lot of stuff that fits into that. But at the end of the day, no, I don't think there's some big deep fake operation to secretly pretend that the creators hate people because fans just really badly need somebody to be justified at hating. That's just silly. That gets to a level of absurdity over intent that, I totally am with you. You don't have to take everybody on face value, but if you never take anyone on face value, you don't get anywhere. At some point, you do have to just say, you know what, this person may be lying. It is what it is. It is what it is. But I need to live my life, and I can't second and third and fourth guess things to infinity. That is the path to crazy. And so I'm just going to have to at some point just say, all right, that's your that's point of view, and I'm going to have to just move on, and that's what we'll do here. So let's move on. Thanks for listening.